In this video, we're going to talk about the stimulus check and the stimulus package update for September the 1st. But before we do, if this is your first time at our channel or you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button at the bottom. My name is Travis Sickle, certified financial planner, helping you reach your financial goals. So up first is payroll tax cuts. So the executive order that was signed on August the 8th by President Trump to defer employee side Social Security, which is the 6.2%, starts today for those employers that are participating in the program in order to make that deferral. Now, the IRS put out a notice saying that an affected taxpayer must withhold and pay the total applicable taxes that the affected taxpayer deferred. Now, that taxpayer is the employer, because the IRS then says that the affected taxpayer must make arrangements to otherwise collect the total applicable taxes from the employee. So there's a lot of confusion with the payroll tax cuts, and this notice from the IRS certainly doesn't help the situation because it makes the employer liable for those taxes and to figure it out with their employee. But at the end of the day, the employer is going to be the one responsible because they do say that they're going to pay taxes and interest on anything that they don't pay on time. So what happens if the employee no longer works for that employer? It's really ambiguous on how that's going to be fixed. But the confusion doesn't stop there, because when this thing was first rolled out, President Trump said he was going to eliminate the payroll tax altogether. But then the White House came out later, said they would move to have legislation just to forgive the current payroll tax cut and have that money replaced from other taxes. So it wasn't going to take the money from Social Security at any point. It was going to be replaced. But a lot of people thought that if they were cutting the payroll tax cuts, then that means they're going to eliminate Social Security. And this could potentially affect anyone that's earning less than $104,000, because it depends on whether or not your employer is going to allow you to actually defer those payroll taxes for you to keep that money, because they might be on the hook at the end of the day. And it is possible that if Trump gets reelected, he said that he was going to push to forgive the payroll tax cuts, but Biden could also do the same. But in essence, it's a sort of a loan, so you're going into debt by doing the payroll tax deferral until it gets passed into law that it could actually be forgiven. So while the payroll tax cuts was meant to put more money into employees' pockets and stimulate the economy, it's created a ton of confusion. The second point that I want to talk about is late last week, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said that they're going to target a 2% inflation. Now, right now, it's at 1%. So they want to target a 2% inflation, and they're going to do that by keeping rates low. What this means for you is that loan rates and mortgage rates moving forward will continue to be relatively low. However, you still have to look at the price, because as inflation kicks in, prices will rise. Number 3 on the list is the stimulus package. Now, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said that they're still focused on kids, jobs, and liability protection, and that the Senate is back next week on Tuesday, September the 8th. But they're still talking on a daily basis between McConnell and Mnuchin, but they're not talking to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi because she refuses to negotiate unless they're going to come to the table with a bigger stimulus package. Now, the Republicans are at 1.3 trillion and the Democrats are at 2.2 trillion. So they're still almost $1 trillion apart in negotiations. And here's what Mnuchin had to say about House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
And unfortunately, the Speaker and Senator Schumer just don't want to negotiate in good faith. They've refused to meet. We reached an agreement on many, many issues, but they said unless we come out with a top line, they won't even give us details as to what they're interested.
And this is because House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are saying that they want to get more testing, more funding for testing, and get funds to state and local governments. So let me know in the comments down below, and I've asked this question before, but what do you think of holding on to the state and local governments before we give unemployment or future stimulus checks? Because if we think about it from another perspective, with the PPP program and the EIDL program, those were two programs to help support small businesses. But the idea on the PPP program was to get the money to the employers so they can in turn pay their employees. Now, wouldn't that be a lot like giving stimulus checks and unemployment, because you're taxpayers? So when you pay your taxes, you're paying it to state and local governments. But looking at it from the other perspective, state and local government is an employer, and that's what House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wants to fund so they can pay their employees. And as she pointed out,
they won't do state and local government, which is so essential to our heroes, hence called the HEROES Act, for healthcare and first responders and sanitation, transportation, teachers.
In either case, there's still $1 trillion apart on the stimulus package. So hopefully when the Senate comes back on September the 8th, next Tuesday, they'll begin to work on a negotiation, a stimulus package that both sides can agree upon. And until then, we'll just have to sit and wait and see. And that is the stimulus package and the stimulus check update for September the 1st. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave your comments down at the bottom.